play with, but none of that matters unless BSV gets liquidity. And Jack Lou's idea of bringing in liquidity by having these atomic swaps with BTC, I think is brilliant, and I think it's something that we all should pursue. I'm really happy that Jeremy is from DotSwap is working on it, and if there are other devs out there willing and desiring to work on something like this, like go ahead and do that. I see zeros in the house. Zero. So now, just to put you up to speed, we have a quantum resistant locking. Okay. Bert, did you is it locking pretty much what you created? Um,
Yes, the first half, correct. The first half is done correctly, locking. But what he's saying is that once it gets shipped into the mempool, that's what we're going to protect with the winter.
okay, awesome. Got it. Gotcha. Yeah, this is the type of stuff that we should always be building on BSV. We should always be building as a team. Like everyone in BSV has their own projects, everyone in BSV has their own thing going on, and by all means, that's awesome. Please do that. Do whatever drives you. But we should always come back to the drawing board and like with ideas on how to create more liquidity and more opportunity for everyone within the network. So yeah, I was telling Gavin earlier today on a phone call that after we put out the idea for atomic swapping BTC to BSV, all of a sudden I got a bunch of people coming to me asking me like, "Hey, could I also swap my bitmap? Could I swap my dog? Like, I want my digital assets on BTC to also be quantum resistant." So you see what I mean? Like this idea, this narrative has already begun to take shape, and we don't even have the atomic swaps available yet, and people are already asking to have other assets protected on BSV. Uh, and if they could please, move those funds over via an atomic swap somehow. So this is the best path forward in my opinion. What's up, Dean? See you're back.
Yo, like who's taking that trade though? It's not like it's not a swap in the sense of like I take it from like one network and put it on another. It's like person A swaps it for person B's thing, right?
Yes.
Like you're describing bridging and atomic swapping as um like the same thing. They're very different concepts. Like you can't just take some asset from BTC and then like put it on another chain and like have the native asset somehow protected from quantum computing. And like also like you kind of like you need to think like who's going to take this trade? Like why is anyone going to do this swap? Do you know what I mean? Like who's out here rushing to sell their Bitcoin? Like
Right. So Jack Lou and Jeremy are talking about creating a a market maker play in the middle of all of this, and so that's something that they're working on.
right.
But the thing is that this enthusiasm is something that, as you know, like this is all about dopamine and getting people excited about something, and so the atomic swap thing is being worked on. But what was really surprising to me was to see Bert implement the what he did, what you already talked to him about within less than 24 hours. So it has to do with quantum resistance. So it it just we're in a moment in time right now in crypto where there's not a lot going on in other chains, and it is during these moments in time that I see that the BSV community really steps up and starts doing something. It seems like a lot of people who were who were more active in BSV and have been working in other networks like yourself, Jack Lou. It's during these times that you guys like come back, share ideas, and just kind of like um, help the ecosystem in one way, shape, or form. So I think that's really cool to see. And yeah,
Here's a
so Gavin, what's
Yeah,
up?
here's
You
a
had a
question,
question
dude.
for?
Let me
Yeah.
kind of frame this for everybody. Maybe Bert and Dean, even maybe Ralph or anybody else who wants to answer this. And that is this was I remember Vinny Lingham brought this up to me a while back, and he's like, the comp thing. He's like, I got my He's like, I'm swapping my BTC for BSV on some exchange or someplace, and they said I got to do a 60 comp wait, to get it out. And it's like this long comp, maybe I don't know, it's this long comp process to get it out, and that was because apparently it's because of the stuff that happened a long time ago regarding some bogus miner or some bogus attack that happened. So I'm wondering, is that a problem that is fixable, or is that just something that could be somehow fixed with this, with a possible solution? I don't know, SPV or something. Or are there any ideas on how to do that? If let's say we put together this swap, could the comps be fast, instant? Or do we have to wait the 100 comp or whatever, however long that takes, like everybody else?
Well, it's deterministic, right? It's like I'm gonna make a deal with you that, like, basically if you settle this, like basically the thing you're trying to do is like set a long enough time lock that you don't think that the person locking their funds behind the time lock can claim them before you can, right? So like if you set a 1 hour time lock, and it's like, well, maybe on BTC you gotta wait like 10-20 minutes for a confirmation, and then maybe you want one or two confirmations, and then in the meantime, like, the funds can be taken on BSV, and then it's like, um like you need to have some kind of assurance, and also it requires you to make 3 transactions. You can't do it in just 2. um yeah, and so it's kind of like, it's clunky, but it is permissionless and it does work. But you have this issue of like having to support it on the front end, and having to run infrastructure on both sides. And because you can't really charge a fee for doing that, it's like, why would you do that? So that's why this idea hasn't really taken off. But yeah, you can just secure it by having conservative time locks. But yeah, it can't really be instant because both the chains have like 10-minute block times, and that's really slow.
So why can't you charge a fee for this service? Like, how would this work? Yeah.
Um, you can't really charge a fee because it's like, how do I put it? How do I put it? It's like, because you're not middlemaning anything as the market, right? Like all you can really do is like you can try to add a fee, but like at the chain level, like you can't enforce fees.
Right, because the hash time lock contract is doing all the work.
Right.
So
It's just a script.
their play is to try to give some incentivization or whatever to get people to want to do the hashing or to do that swap. And I think that's what they're saying. So that's where the money would be made, is in the incentivization or
Where
incentivization.
Wait, where's the money gonna be made, Bert?
Um,
How,
like Jack Lou and them were talking yesterday about having something that would make them want to do the swap, right? Like he said just a minute ago, the maps or whatever, the bitmaps. Can I swap the bitmaps? But
right, but I'm help me understand
yeah,
the motivation for why I would want to get behind this and say, if I can't make any money, like, I mean, I'm not just me, but anybody, right? Like, help me understand how it could possibly make sense to motivate a business person, an entrepreneur, to say, this is something I want to get behind and start working on developing or spearheading. And then you say, well,
well,
there isn't any money in it. So how does that work?
Well, in my look, it's kind of what Dean said just a minute ago, right? Like the way you got to play to the attributes of this chain. BSV is you can stuff a lot of data into this chain and very efficiently, better than anything out there. That's what makes this thing so strong. He's not wrong in the sense that it is slow. It's clunky. This is why they left and went over to Sol, is because you're making money quickly, and most people want to see that quick money made, right? Just like you're talking about right now. So you have to unlock this chain's potential through what it's capable of doing. And the only thing it is capable of doing better than anything else out there is stuffing data in the chain, right? Tons of it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Dean. That's kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty accurate summary. It's like it's not really like the fastest. It's not like meaningfully cheaper than like all the other like chains out there that are really cheap. It doesn't have any liquidity, right? Like there's no one really like doing much with it. You know, so it's like the only attribute that it has that is really unique is like hash addressable storage.
And then also Jack's right on the money with the way his philosophy is, right? Like chief dopamine officer, CDO. Like it's a great, it's a great little tingle. You just got to push it, and the quantum thing is, it could be a springboard. And that's what I was trying to say yesterday. He had the platform RelayX. RelayX would have been a great thing to start pushing some of this on, and then to continue on, and then actually do something with the storage value of this chain. We just have to unlock that potential. It's there. It's just a matter of what.
Dude, you know what I really think, guys, that really unlocks this potential completely is 21E8 itself. And it just sometimes I'm like, when I ask like myself, like, what the heck are the 2818 guys like waiting for? Like, what is this two market strategy? Why is it taking so long when we live in a world where everyone understands like the importance of AI and it's how it needs to have a market, and I see BSV as the best market for data, as the best platform to move this data around that Dean is talking about. So Bert, Dean, since you guys have been, it seems like you guys have been very close with 21E8, where is that project? Because it, as far as I have studied this whole world of AI and blockchain coming together, to me it's the best solution. And it seems to me that like the Satoshi itself, in the way that it is extremely economical, like that we're at a point in BSV where we could even train an AI via micropayments. So, and this is something that, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen it. Craig Wright wrote about it recently. So I feel like 21E8 is that like tipping point for BSV that no one really talks about, but yet it's so powerful. So for a lot of people that probably don't understand what I'm talking about, if you were to ask the analogy I give people is like, if you were to ask yourself what a full node is to a big blocker, the full node of a big blocker, the equivalent to the full node of a small blocker, the full node for a big blocker is a Mac Mini, where you can like run a language model, hash 256 on it, have it as scalable as you would want to be, cluster these bad boys up, and do as much as you want with it, really. So my question for Dean and Bert is, what are your thoughts on 21E8, and where do you guys see that project going?
Well, Dean might have way more insight than me, but my fun behind it was sniffing out something that was mystic, and I think that's a bit of what Jack Lew was talking about with getting people to tingle and talk about something. And what I uncovered in it is that there were secrets inside of the blockchain where you could, take an application that was out there, sniff out something that had satoshis attached to it, like a message, find that message, hash it, and get rewarded. um Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that what, Dean, is that your interpretation of that?
um I would say that it's a concept that you can organize data through computation in a meaningful way, and that is going to become more useful and more necessary in the age of AI to prevent you from getting confused.
Prevent you from
Yeah,
getting
so
confused?
Yeah, like no
yeah,
one knows what's real anymore.
yeah, nobody knows what's real. So like what we're doing is that Bitcoin gives grounds us back to reality. So when you hash, you know, like Dean says, I like to hash. He's talking about like data. When you bring data and you order data in accordance to energy spent grounds us to the limited nature that we can identify as organisms. So when data is organized via proof of work, it grounds it back to our reality. I don't know if that's a good way for me to explain it, but for me it makes sense. It's because it even every time you timestamp, you bring data back down to like our plane of existence at where we understand time and we can order the data. So, like Dean just said, it tells us what's real or not, and that's the big problem now. Is like every time I look at a new commercial, or I don't even like AI has gotten rid of my own doom scrolling addiction because I know that like over 50% of the things that the algorithm is showing me are just like fake people. These are not real individuals anymore speaking. So I'm like, what am I doing? Watching, what the fuck is this? Like AI loses its charm the moment you realize that it's not real, like Dean said. So when you have like you need proof of work in order for that data, whatever data it is, for it to be grounded back to reality, for it to give you a signal that it is even worthwhile to look at. And so my question to you, Dean, is like, look, the 21E8 guys, like they have the infrastructure, they already have an idea of what the hardware is to arbitrage data with in a peer-to-peer way. Great, but they need a network. And the best network that I know of is BSV. Second best network that I know of is Solana. And third best network would be Nocchain. But Nocchain right now, it doesn't even have a wallet. It's like, or they just put out a GUI wallet. And it's like, I honestly, it's either Solana or BSV. That's the only two networks that I see 21E8 being able to use as the rails to arbitrage this data back or forth and forth. What are your thoughts on this, Dean? Do you think, or is there more to it that I don't know yet?
I think it doesn't really like require a blockchain, this idea at all. It's just like the idea that like computation can be used to organize data in a meaningful way. So and I think that that's going to be, I just think that's more important in the age of AI, deep fakes, all that bullshit. So I don't think that it requires a blockchain network. So like it would be agnostic to blockchain networks, but could work with them.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time like organizing my mind around why it wouldn't require a blockchain, because a blockchain is the best means that we have to organize, to come to consensus, to organize
I mean, yes, because
data
this is
itself.
about settlement, right? But this isn't really about like trying to settle something. This is more like spam prevention.
It's hashes, right? You're coding data in hashes.
And like using hashes to value and organize data. So yeah, but the idea is typically that it would be handled like locally. Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of familiar with with these types of systems because I worked a little bit back in the day with Ian Griggs' work on secure and open transactions. So where he doesn't have a blockchain in that system. So I kind of am a little bit familiar with how these type of things work. So I understand the logic a little bit, but somehow, Dean, when we're talking, see, there's a thing about 21E8 is that they talk about computational data markets. So when they emphasize the market aspect of arbitraging this data, it assumes, in my opinion, that like a blockchain is needed. It doesn't make, I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but it still begs
I
the
don't
question.
think that's
Like,
true. Like, do you need a blockchain to tell you that like 5 is less than 6?
no, of course not.
Right. So that's the point. The point is like that, like it's an observable aesthetic of hashes, right? Like it does not necessarily require a blockchain.
That was
Okay.
just a fun implementation of it.
I got it. Okay. Thank you for the explanation. I get it now.
I got stuff to do, so I got ahead, but nice chatting to you guys.
Dean, thank you.
Thanks for stopping by, Dean.
E8.
See
Cool.
yous.
Right on. Thank you, Dean. Right on, man. Nice to meet you. So
It's marketing 101, man. Marketing 101. Keep it mystic. You know, this is what Jack was talking about, the dopamine behind it. He's really good. That whole crew is really good at that. I don't even, at this stage in my own little research, I don't know who really started it. It might have been Dean, might have been some folks in Australia, but you know, that's what made it fun, is that there was messages hidden, and they were doing things inside of the blockchain that a lot of people didn't know. All they seen was hashes that were going across the top of the screen, and it's like that's what sparked it. And then as you started to get into it, you realized, you know, if they had a little game where if you could find the hash, which there's an application to sniff it out, if you could find it, you got rewarded with some satoshis. So marketing 101, though, he still did it. He didn't necessarily tell everybody what it is or how it works, right? He left it kind of floating there.
Yeah.
I understand it. I know exactly how it works. I played with it. So I know exactly what's going on.
I had to interview these guys for like, I had to research these guys for many years to get my head around what the heck 21E8 is. And it's still like, it's like, I'm satisfied with Dean's answer, but I still, it begs the question for me still, like the best environment, in my opinion, to arbitrage data that we value, and for us, like he said, like to come to consensus, is a blockchain. Like, I understand what he's saying, but like, if you want to put data in a marketplace, well, dude, like Satoshi gave us that. Like,
No,
but do
and
you
that's what
need it? No, you don't
and
need it.
that's what BSV is good for. I mean, BSV you can put data inside this chain, so maybe
Right.
there's something here altogether.
Well, I mean, all of these guys came from BSV. They're all BSV,
Yeah, of course,
dudes.
and that's where they tested it out. And I
Right.
think ultimately, and again, I don't know if it was Dean or I don't know who it was, but I think they were designing a product that we're going to be able to utilize and provide militaries, other consumer based applications this format. And I think it was a specialized algorithm that they were folding up.
Dude, I had so many more questions for Dean. He created an SPV node out of Solana that crap. I regret not asking him when we had him here. I'll ask him next time he shows up. He created an SPV Bitcoin node out of Solana, out of a Solana smart contract. Meaning that, in my opinion, what I see is that he created the pathway for Solana to be a Bitcoin overlay. That's what I read into it. I could be wrong, but like BTC doesn't have a robust SPV system, simplified payment verification system. So that's something I wanted to ask him. Because it's what can you do with BTC? I mean, what the fuck?
Well, he's right. He's right in a sense. I mean, well, it's just got network effect. BTC's got the market at 100,000 or whatever it is
Right.
now, and that's why everybody wants it. So you know, who's going to give that up, right? Everybody wants it because it's worth the money, and that's why they're there on that chain. Everybody's on Solana. I guess some people call it degenerate, right? Like they want to do that gambling. They want those pockets of what pump fun made it go up a little bit, right?
Right. So, there's a lot that can be created on BSV. We just need more liquidity. So I really look forward to this atomic swap situation to happen. Get more liquidity in, more, and this is not like the end on of a means of getting liquidity, but it is like Jack Lou broke down for us last time we spoke to him. Like, it is the fastest, quickest way of attaining as much liquidity as possible. I'm pretty sure other schemes could be, people come up with that could be that could drive that even further. But I think this is a very good first step. So Gavin, Casey, have you guys heard from Jeremo? Is he going to show up tonight?
He's here.
Okay,
For some reason, he's not coming up to stage though.
that's fine. That's fine. So how about we do this, man? So because I got to get going soon. But Bert, man, thank you so much for getting the for getting this going. And I'm so happy that out of all people, man, right when I was talking about him, the dude is almost like I summoned him. Dean Little showed up and he was able to give you those pointers, bro. So I love that we got that peer review. That peer review
Absolutely. That's a blessing for
dynamic
sure.
going here. Oh,
Did
bro,
that help
that's
you
so
at all,
pimp.
Bert, with what Dean
Yeah,
said?
no, absolutely. I mean, I have not been in the BSV space. I think Gavin, the first time I talked to you, it was like 2 years. Like when I met you just a few months ago, maybe at this point, it's 2 years. Like Dean, I had not been here. So there's some areas that I missed, and the mempool it was an opening. So this Winternitz, very easily converted. I mean, just looking at it, and again, BTC, BCH, Solana, they're all this code. It's all the same code. Solana just tweaks it a little bit with the Ethereum, the accounting.
Yeah, dude. Let me before we wrap up, I want to just ask and kind of comment here as to it seems like the summary was that one of the big takeaways here was the fact that Dean said the whole swap thing, that's old news. That's already been done, and it's been done. So can we ride that? What were some of the, maybe you could, Bert, or can you give me some takeaways that what Dean said about the swaps, about what he was doing with Twetch, that he's already done this? How did he do it?
Yeah, I mean, hash time lock contracts have been done for quite some time, right? And you can implement them with any SHA-256 coin. You can make that happen with any coin. So it's just a matter of writing it up. It's just a matter of doing it. And I think they did in the beginning stages. Like I think he said on Twitch, when they were making their push over to the ordinals, they started out doing this. Like they wrote those up. That way people could swap the BSV to BTC and buy ordinals.
Hmm.
If anybody remembers that. So it's a
Yeah.
proven concept. It's already there. It's there. But I just think he's right. You find something that this chain is really good at, exfoliate it, and then and I even think the 21E8. I mean, it's a good look too, Ralph. I mean, I think that play around with that a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's super sexy, man. Because like, look, you organize data, right? With 21E8, you kind of like you you validate the reality, the existence of the data, right? Um, this has okay. So, but then there's the market aspect, right? Like when you take this data and you arbitrage the data between peers, at that moment it's like, well, dude, like I don't understand why we're not using a blockchain and why not use BSV. It's like the cheapest and best for this. So no, dude, I really think that there is that BSV can benefit a lot from 21EA. I really think that everyone on BSV, especially if you're a dev, especially if you're working on any project, you should definitely get yourself a 21E8 Mac Mini and play around with it. Like really acquaint yourself with what these guys are doing. Because yeah, like Dean says, they're agnostic, but at the end of the day, let's be real. Why the fuck are they agnostic, right? They're agnostic because BSV has had a really hard time to market with all the BS that we've had to go through, right? So, there's only so much a project can, take, and getting beat up by being so closely affiliated with a project that threatens the establishment so much. So, but that doesn't mean that 21E8 is not an idea or a project that was given birth to within BSV. It was. So like, if look, I'll give you guys some inside baseball here. Like, I was talking to who was to Kurt Wooker Jr. about this, and he's like, Raph, you know what? You know what's crazy? He's like, bro, most of Gorilla Pool is run on Mac Minis. Like, everyone understands how versatile these machines are. How the Mac Mini is so versatile. How it's almost like it was created to cluster up and for you to run many different tools at the same time, or language models in parallel. And so, yeah, it's this is something, it's part of the DNA of BSV. So if you're not aware of 21E8, I'd highly recommend that you just Google Mark Wilcox and all the interviews that he's given in the past 2 or 3 years, and just consume the content, understand what they're doing, and know that that this is a tool set that allows you to have a peer-to-peer data arbitrage. What the fuck does that mean? It means that these guys have figured out a way of not having to rely on big server farms for data, and that is the genius. And they've been able to figure out how to run language models, and how to validate the content within AI, for AI, in a way that where you don't need to depend on big server farms. So it's bringing peer-to-peer data infrastructure at the level
Central, basic, element.
guys were able to give to the world, because no one else has tried this. There was a project before 21E8 that a lot of venture capital went into, called Urbit, and that project is pretty much dead. Like, there's one dev left. I think his name is Lorenzo, and he's just another 21E8 guy, because they realized that, like, so the 21E8 guys had, I think a lot of it had to do with their origin story, because they understood Bitcoin the way we do here. They were able to, in a sense, I think, form their mind around creating that which mirrors Bitcoin infrastructure on the data side, on what the hardware peer-to-peer data side would ideally look like. And they're constantly striving to figure out what the best computer is, right, for everyone to have access to these data markets on a peer-to-peer way. So the Urbit crowd did not come from the Bitcoin ecosystem. The Urbit crowd is a crowd of individuals that come from Silicon Valley, and they were kind of just like shooting in the dark, trying to figure this out without having like the formation that we got in Bitcoin. Like, we have a very good formation. I don't know if you guys realize this, but we do. By understanding Bitcoin, you understand the way that you understand an architecture that is superior to all other architectures. You understand how a small world network is more efficient than a mesh network, for example. So because you have that inherent, you have that inherent understanding of how simplicity is important, because that's what Satoshi really did in creating Bitcoin. He gave us almost like a very simple and very organized system of arbitraging data, and that's what Bitcoin is. And so yeah, it's sorry for digressing so much, but yeah, I really think that that 21E8 is something that everyone in BSV should become very, very acquainted with. And
Let me
that
ask you
is
real quick before you
what's up,
wrap
man.
this up. Let me
Sure,
ask
sure,
you real
sure.
quick. What about these large language models? In the recent few years, you're saying, is it Mark Wilcox that were speaking about large language models and that application? Or are you talking about Anchor Chain
No,
specifically?
I'm talking about running language models through 21E8 and hashing data that you. So that's the thing. This is where I'm still confused, right? Because like this whole thing is a path of discovery for me. Like I understand what Dean said, but it begs for me, like, how am I using the 21E8 system on my own, and I could put a, like, what we call, because okay, look, man, my background in this comes from the hanging out with Daniel Krawitz, and Daniel Krawitz created a system similar to a 21E8 called Boost Proof of Work. And 21E8, for some time, they just wanted to use just hash power, not necessarily SHA-256 hash power. But over time, they've come around full circle, and they've kind of agreed with Daniel Krawitz in that validating data with proof of work is important, but ever so more important is to validate it with the most verifiable proof of waste, which is SHA-256. Fair enough. This is why they chose the Mac Mini, because the Mac Mini hashes SHA-256, while at the same time, the Mac Mini allows you to run as many language models at the same time by running as many Mac Minis in parallel to one another. So like the large Mac Mini, the big one, I forget the name of it, that is almost capable of running the entirety of DeepSeek right now, for
Yeah.
example. So
Yeah.
it's so okay.
Understood.
So that's like one world, right? Of like giving data. So what hashing does is that it doesn't provide. It is not a litmus for truth. It is not an oracle for truth. So just because something has proof of work behind it, just because there's some data with proof of work behind it, that does not mean that that data itself is true. What it means is that someone put proof of work behind it, and it causes you to pay attention. So if you are smart enough and you just look at data that has proof of work behind it, what you're doing is saving time. So in reality, when you put data that you care about and you put proof of work behind it, what you're really saying is like, this matters so much to me that I spent energy on this data. So it saves you time. All it does, it saves you time. It's not an oracle of truth. It doesn't give you truth, but it saves you time, because someone went out of their way to put proof, to wrap this data with proof of work. Does that make sense? It just causes you to stop
Absolutely.
and take notice. That's it. Now, this is a very nerdy thing still. And what Craig Wright is saying, which I have not found anyone else to say in the entire crypto world, is that he has figured out a way. Well, he hasn't figured it out. He says that Bitcoin allows you to train an AI on chain via micropayments.
Train an AI on chain via micropayments.
Yeah, that we like collectively
Train an
through
AI.
a market driven structure, through a market driver, like our involvement on chain using Bitcoin via micropayments back and forth to each other, we can voluntarily train an AI. So right now we're training the Grok AI. But then again, Grok and the way Grok functions on the back end is something that is not market driven. It is driven
Well, how do
by
you hold on? How are we training Grok AI? Let me
no,
ask you that. Just
we're just giving it data right now. Like I'm speaking, I'm giving it
yeah.
that, I'm giving it information, right? But as to how that information is implemented in the future, that is behind closed doors, and what Elon and those what XAI feels like should be the output of the information that it's receiving. No. Now, if we train an AI on chain, as Craig Wright is saying, via micropayments, then now there is an inherent incentive for us as a community to only spend our energy or our satoshis on those things that we find most meaningful. So it creates a market feedback loop, and that is very similar, in my opinion, to Bitcoin mining itself, where like the miner looks at what has been what they have, looks at the transactions it has processed, and then the market tells it directly, like, this is what's most profitable for you as a miner to process. So therefore it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then the miner will go and provide a better service as a miner in processing those transactions which are most profitable to itself. In reality, the miner is incentivized to serve the users more and more. So in that same way, in that same type, I'm giving you the analogy of mining. In that same way, we train an AI, and so it's Craig Wright wrote about this. I
Yeah,
sent it to
because
the
I mean,
yeah.
that's the field of endeavor that I've been on for the last 2 years is artificial intelligence, like programming them, building them, designing them. Like that's like right now I'm training up a small, teeny tiny one on just some home hardware. Right, it's taking me 3 days to cook it up. Um, and I did just do a full write up about that in my feed or whatever, where
Cool.
I share with everybody exactly how to do it. So, you know, and if it's anchor chain, which I kind of read a little bit about, so if you got something that he's wrote specifically surrounding the LLMs, I'd be super interested. But the training side of it, I get a little lost there because it's just there's so much data, and the architecture that we're using right now, consisting of
Right.
transformers, consisting of what it is, I mean, it takes a lot of data, a lot, and to get it intelligent, right? Because like the little one that I'm doing at my house is taking 3 days. It's, you know, it'll be a graduate student, maybe it'll be dumb at math, but I have to reprogram it and train it with math after I get done doing it with this, and that'll take time. Um,
Right on.
so you know, but if they found a way to do it, so I just don't know where the value comes from by having it on the chain or how it could be done. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I
So
mean,
he
shit,
gave a
there's
digestible version of it here on X, and I posted it on above. It's he calls it micropayment driven AI models, a system to deliver. Bert,
I'm looking.
it's the most recent
Micro
post.
driven AI models. Looks like it's from July 28th.
Yeah. And so what he's doing with Anchor Chain is that he's doing a lot of things with Anchor Chain, but in reality, the dude is leading by example. He's showing us how every blockchain eventually,
Yeah.
logically, obviously logic is with it, the X of time is like unknown, right? But everyone that runs a layer one blockchain understands that and any second layer approach needs a layer one with a lot of capacity. And so Craig Wright is leading the way with Anchor Chain of showing us how what an overlay really is. An overlay is just a blockchain that anchors back to the main chain of Bitcoin SV.
Oh.
And so, but yeah, this is a very quick synopsis of what he wrote about, and I'll find the entirety of his write up, Bert, so you can look at it. But this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
So Jack, what's up?
I gotta like read this thing like 3 or 4 times. Jeez.
It's pimp, dude. Me too, bro. Like I geeked out on this shit so much. I still do, man. Like this is fucking wild, man. Like yeah, it's fucking wild, dude.
Nice. And I
Like,
gotta plug
this
this
is-
before we go. So dude, I'm gonna do a poll coming out here soon. It's about ready. And now that you brought up Craig, I'm gonna do a poll, and if it gets to 10,000 people on the poll that vote yes, I'm gonna lobby him. I'm not saying he's gonna do it. I have no guarantee, but I will then lobby him to do a residency every month where we can go ask questions like this. Hey, we want to ask you about this thing, and we'll do a residency with him to flush these types of ideas out. You know, where we can talk about LLM models and these hard questions. But it needs to be popular, dude. If nobody wants to see it, I'm not gonna lobby him. So, and he's not gonna do it.
Are you talking about Craig?
Yeah. It needs to be
that'd be
popular. So I'm gonna be posting a poll soon on X. Like very soon. I don't know if it's gonna be tomorrow. I have to get back either in the next few days. It's gonna be coming on X, and so look for it, and everybody's gonna have to share it, like retweet it, and get 10 people to click yes. If it gets to 10,000. Okay, that's the number. It's got to get to 10,000 on the poll, and it's only 7 days on the poll. So there's just no interest, not enough interest. He's not going to do it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time lobbying him and trying to convince him to do it, if nobody's interested. I mean, if a few people come on, there's 100 people, it's not worth it. He's not going to do it, So it's got to be somebody that people are really, really interested in seeing. And I mean, he wanted to go on that Neil Oliver thing, right? Because it has a lot of influence. So,
right.
No,
I mean, look. The truth is that this dude puts out so much content. Like, he's like, this is just I was just the other day, man. I was reading a book he put out. Okay, he put out a freaking book, and I was reading an aspect of the book that pertains to entrepreneurship in AI. And how I'll share it with you, Bert. I have to find it, but it was just like, yeah, it was incredible, dude. Yeah, the thing, Gavin, is that he puts out so much content, and there's so much that the best thing to probably do is to like study things, and then come with questions. But to just if someone is not even aware of the content he's putting out, then it's almost like, I would say, like kind of a waste of time to have him. You know what I mean? It's almost like I wouldn't want to bother him for something that someone else in the network could answer questions on. Does that make sense?
dude, absolutely. I mean, it's not. Yeah. Well, I'm saying I'm
He's
doing
so
the poll,
busy, bro.
right?
I don't want to bother him. Is what I'm trying to say. Like,
yeah, I get it. Nobody should bother him, especially if it's one simple question. But if 10,000 people vote on the poll, that's not a bother. People want to see him. That's why I'm saying the poll's coming. Casey, I just sent you a photo that Lex made with a meme picture, and if you could post that in this group here, I would appreciate it. She said yes. Good. And also the
book,
money.
Dude. Like, look, check this out. This is how like crazy Craig Wright is, right? He wrote a book. It's on his Substack, and it's called Scripted Supply: A Bitcoin-Based Architecture for EDI and On-Chain Commerce. EEI, Electronic Exchange Instructions. Okay, Chapter 3, dude. Like, Chapter 3 is on the architecture of on-chain commercial state. Like, if you are an entrepreneur right now working on SV, you need to read this book, and I highly recommend for you to study the crap out of chapter 3. All right, like I'll put the link. I'll send Casey the link and chapter 3, because this is like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like I don't like, I believe he's Satoshi, and he's busy pumping out content for us to study for the next 3 decades. Like I don't want to bother the guy asking him like questions that even like any one of us can answer. You know what I'm saying? Like I rather he, chill out and do his thing. That's the book, Casey. I just sent you the book, and this is the title of chapter 3. Dude, this like just chapter 3 of this book alone is like, what the fuck? Like this is so much, so like this is just incredible, man. And so yeah, but we need liquidity. So let's get back on talking about how to get more liquidity, bro. Because all these cool things are possible, but man,
Right.
we need liquidity.
We do the liquidity. I'm going to talk to Jermo. He's got a bunch of things he wrote to me, a ton. So all sounds good and promising and positive. And he has a difference of opinion than Dean Little. He has a different view on the world and a lot of the stuff than Dean does. So because Jermo's not only just a high level dev, but he's also a business guy and an entrepreneur, and he's an economics guy. So he's got a really good background, dude. And I'm pretty sure I don't see how else DotSwap's making money. They're somehow charging or making money, and they're still doing it right now on BTC. So
right, dude. And look, I'll tell you this, man. I am nowhere near like Dean is a genius dev, right? Like I've heard people tell me, highly reputable people, that he's the best dev that Solana has. Okay, like he's no joke, right? So when he says something, I pay attention. However, he came from BSV, and there's a lot of badass BSV devs, right? Like Dean to me is just like another BSV dev. We just have so much fucking talent here. It's crazy, right? Like that's what's wild, dude. Like Dean in BSV is just like another dev. But
right.
when he goes to Solana, he's like the best motherfucker there. Like same thing with Zhao Wei Lu. Zhao Wei Lu's a champ here, but like I could say that, like, dude, I can point out other guys that are kind of like Zhao Wei Lu here. But like when he goes to BTC, he's like the dude, right? So like he said something. So when I asked Dean about what he thought about these new token protocols that are like big blocker token protocols, he said that you still need to index them. And I'd say that Freddie from Ireland and Stefan, who's working on Overnode, would probably challenge that. They're the authors of these new token protocols, which is TSL1, and the other one is Bolt. Like I think that they would challenge Dean on this, because the whole purpose of these